Welcome to the Superstition Mountain to the old Salton Sea Navy base run. This was a San Diego Jeep Club scouting mission to pre-run a trail for a future open run for any and all club members. I was excited to be part of this scouting mission, and while I'd been on much of this trail before, we did find some new paths to make it even more exciting. Again, it's not a highly technical trail, but it's full of fun and excitement for any stock four-wheel drive Jeep. Enjoy the adventure! As you'll see during the run, unfortunately due to some unusually heavy rains that we had in the area, the trail had become quite muddy, and to run the trail with 40 to 50 Jeeps would be irresponsible and probably cause long-lasting damage to the trail. Therefore, the Jeep Club made the decision not to run the open run on the date it had selected. The area, of course, will dry out, and I'm sure the club will make it an open run when the time and the conditions are right. I met up with the Black Ops crew early in the morning at the designated meeting spot, where we all prepared our Jeeps and, as usual, held a quick driver's meeting, and then it was off to the sand dunes. I love this area of the trail. Watch the Jeep in the lead here. Note that his driver's side tire catches the edge of the dune, which starts to pull him down the ledge. He correctly follows the induced slide by letting the Jeep follow the decline and steering into the descent instead of trying to turn passenger and climb back to the top. The latter action could have been catastrophic and caused a rollover. Nice recovery. At this right-hand turn is where we embarked on a mission to find our way up and over the mountain instead of going around as we had always done in the past. Remember, our mission this time was to find a suitable path for any stock four-wheel drive Jeep. The sand dune area at Superstition Mountain is an area of high use by many vehicle types and off-road vehicles, and it is wise to keep a watch outside of your Jeep for other vehicles. You might see motorcycles, buggies, other four-wheel drive vehicles, and quads running at high speed through this area. Keep your eyes peeled. On the way up the hill, the trail overlooks the Ocotillo Valley towards the Anza Borrego Desert, and vistas are well worth seeing. But don't let your attention wander off too far, because at times the drop-off is significant. And on that note, because the cameras I use on these runs are internally stabilized and sometimes have wide-angle lenses, it is difficult to convey all of the shocks and bumps that one feels on these trails. The physical sensations experienced while wheeling are a huge part of the experience that are often not well translated via video. Whether rock crawling and feeling the suspension flex while the body rocks and rolls at extreme angles, to high-speed cruising, feeling the Jeep in the terrain is something you can only experience in person. The angles and slopes are also generally flattened by the camera lenses, and the perspective is quite different when you're actually out there in person.
cut back and take that trail to the left.
Arriving at the top of the peak, we found a significant communications relay station providing many radio frequency services to the surrounding communities and a very nice view of the valley towards the west, looking back towards San Diego. We all stopped to soak in the views and do a bit of socializing before heading on. Departing the top of the mountain is when the real fun began. This area is often called Sand Dam, and it changes from time to time with the passing of the winds and seasons out here in the desert. We found the conditions to be really ideal as it had rained only a short time prior to our expedition. This left us with very little dust and very good traction as the sand was somewhat compacted. It also meant that we had to tread lightly and stay on the trails so as not to damage the natural undisturbed areas surrounding the trail.
Pretty cool landscape. This is nice, I like this. I can imagine in the summertime though, this is going to be very dusty. Very fine sand. Right now we're coming off of quite a bit of rain for Southern California, so this is all pretty, a little bit damp, and it's nice and tamped down, and there's not a lot of dust flying today, which makes it nice for videoing, nice for running with the windows down, or the top off if you so choose.
Offshoot to the right off of this trail is the one I remember. Call it out when you see it.
15 degrees of inclination. Go around this turn and see what we get here. 18, 19, 22. Wow. Pretty good. A lot of fun. Trail kind of forces you onto the angles because on the other side there's some pretty big rocks, and well, the Jeep could probably handle it on the rock sliders. I prefer not to do that.
After descending Sand Dam, we found ourselves in a wash and started to pick up some mud. It is this part of the trail where we found the wet, muddy conditions that, along with some more rain after this event, led to the club's decision to delay a large gathering with the club so we'd avoid large-scale damage to the trail. That said, we had some high-speed fun along this part of the trail. Known as Baja running, this type of speed on the trail can become quite addictive, but it can be very tough on the Jeep's shock absorbers as they tend to heat up. For this reason, you find many high-speed runners using multiple shocks with cooling reservoirs for their dampening system. At the lunch break at Ocotillo Wells, we found out just how much of that dry, concrete-like Southern California mud we'd picked up. This would require a date with the power washer. After our lunch break in the Ocotillo Wells off-highway vehicle use area, we started making our way towards the Salton Sea Navy base via this very scenic natural wash. This was one of the highlights of the day. The layers of sedimentary deposits along with some recent wall collapses made this a very scenic part of the trail. Exiting this wash would find us close to the highway which we would cross on our way to the old Navy base.
Off right there, Ron.
After carefully crossing the highway, we made our way down the sometimes paved, sometimes sandy road to the base. The road appears and disappears from time to time due to the ever-shifting sands caused by the windy conditions in the area. The old Salton Sea Navy Base, or the Salton Sea Naval Auxiliary Air Station, which was once administratively attached to Naval Air Station San Diego, was commissioned in 1942 and had a barracks for over 600 men constructed there. It was disestablished in 1946. Naval Air Facility El Centro then took over the facility, using it for parachute tests of the manned space program and many other military systems until 1979. There remains little, if anything, of the former field. The Salton Sea has largely taken over much of the runway. It is worthy to note that many successful bombing techniques, including some famous bomb sighting technology, were invented, tested, and proven here. The successes proven here helped lead the way to the end of World War II. We stopped at an old observation and instrumentation site where it is possible to see the pier target in the water. This was used as an aiming point for high-altitude bomb drops. We also visited the old Pier Complex, which lies largely in ruins today. It is quite interesting to see, as you visit the buildings, that at one point in time they were mostly submerged, but today stand on dry land. As the old base continues to erode, time will slowly erase any remnants of the facilities. See them while you can.
San Diego Jeep Club! Woo!
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and feel free to leave a comment below. And if you haven't already done so, please click that subscribe button, as it means a lot to me and it helps to support the channel. Lastly, please follow Four Low Rocks on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, happy wheeling!